No name having, looking ragged, lame rapper. You nut hugger, butt buddy, fudge packer. Okay, enough of that. My real friends call me Asher. Laughter. What kind of name is that, bro, dude?
Season finale! Welcome to 13 Minutes. This is a season 2 finale. I'm your host, Paul Goon. We are back at the haunted ass Wickyards, and this week we have John Dante and the Inferno. We are going straight to hell. What's up, bro?
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Had a show last night, and like I said, we were up a little bit late and had a campfire and played some rock and roll for some really beautiful people. And I'm here today, feeling good and ready to talk about it.
So, good show last night?
It was fun. It was a blast.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. That's great, man. The way we usually start is first, middle, last name. I want to know, is your name really John Dante?
Yes.
Okay.
Dante's my middle name.
Okay. John Dante. What's the last name then?
Falgiani is my full last name.
Say it again?
Falgiani.
Say it one more time.
Falgiani.
Okay, wait, one more time.
Falgiani.
All right, now say your name in succession, first, middle, last.
John Dante Falgiani.
That is a great name. I love
Thank
it.
you.
All right.
Thanks.
John Dante, what's up, bro? All right, so what about the rest of the band? Who else is normally in your band? Who do we have that's not here with us?
Well, that's one of the most
Who's the
interesting parts
Inferno?
about the band is the Inferno is like a constantly changing group. I think the longest I've had a group together for was maybe a year or two.
So it's a literal inferno. Not only is it a clever name, but there's an inferno of
Right.
just stern musicians.
Right. I usually try and pick, the best musicians I can at any time, and then you can really hear that on the records, who makes it into the albums. And then I've had a lot of people that, they're excited because they're like, oh, I don't know what your live show is going to be this year. So we've had 2 drummers before. Sometimes we have, 2 drummers and a keyboardist, and usually we're just, we go with a 3-piece band. And I write most of the music myself, and it's sort of like the Frank Zappa or like the Neil Young vibe, where I'm always trying to find who's like currently available and who's on top of the scene. Because I did have some people ask me, they're like, oh, who's coming out to the show? Can we promote the names of the musicians? And I'm like, I really gotta, I'm gonna find them first, and I sometimes build the show, based on who I'm coming to play for and who's available. So that was part of it when I started the band, is that I was in LA and I was in music school, and I booked a showcase where I wrote some songs and did an album. And the showcase came up, and I didn't have a band together. The showcase was like a couple hours away, and I was sitting there. I think my girlfriend was in town at the time, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I think I got a couple phone calls. My friends were like, hey, what are you doing, man? And I was like, nothing. Meet me at the concert hall with your bass. And we pulled it together, and that was sort of the part of the Inferno, is that it's spontaneous and it can bust at any time. So the group is always changing, and that's sort of why I never changed band names throughout the years, is because if I changed the band name every time I had a new member or a new drummer, I'd have a lot of different band names.
That is the best band backstory I've ever fucking had on this show so far. Thank you for explaining all of that. I really love that. That was great. The next thing I want to know is, how long have you been making music as John Dante the Inferno?
I think we're going on 11 years. So
11?
Over a decade. I think the first album, The Human Connection, came out in 2008.
So you do have full albums.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find out. The Human Connection, 2008. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the groups we have, the album that we just released, Truth, that's a full album. We have 8 songs on that one.
And Truth is out now.
Yeah, Truth is out.
All right.
It came out on February 28th, 2019. So that's the new album that's out now. And then we recorded in 2008. It was called The Human Connection. And that was our first 5-song EP. And what else did we do? We did another 2 EPs in between that period. We have a self-titled one. And then I did an album called Launch Files that I recorded up in Michigan around 2015. And that was about a dozen songs. And
Where can we find all this music?
all of the music is, I use DistroKid, so that means it gets put up on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes.
As all the other bands like to say, wherever music's available.
Right, that's pretty much what
Wherever
I say.
you could find music, there's music.
I've been saying that, and then someone sent me a message the other day. It was a Snapchat from Pandora, and
Yeah.
they had searched our music and it didn't come up, and they were like, "Where is it?" So Pandora is one of those ones that's more selective, but
Pandora's holding out on John Dante and the Inferno.
so you can't find us there. But if you
Fuck
wanna
Pandora.
listen to it for free, you can try YouTube or Spotify or your Apple Music account. And if you really support the band and you want to download it,
Then say fuck
iTunes.
Pandora.
Right. So yeah, all of our music's available now. I think I even did a greatest hits compilation in 2017 that was like 15 of our songs that were the most popular. So we have definitely, once you start going through it, there's definitely 10 years worth of original recordings.
Dude, that's amazing. That's a really long time to be making music for the same project. It sounds like you built up a great discography. I'm going to have to dig deeper because clearly YouTube, you know what I mean? I just did my YouTube search. I didn't Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. I should have listened before. You
Right
know,
on. Yeah,
I should have listened to
it's
these other bands that I
interesting.
just made fun of because I didn't do it.
Yeah, I always feel like it's a process. Like even your favorite band or the most popular bands, you'll hear about those bands for 2 or 3 years before you maybe actually pick up their discography. You know, I know even some of my favorite bands like Primus and Tool. I mean, I knew those bands were around for years.
It's
before
really
I ever
interesting
got
that
into
you
them.
say one of your favorite bands is Primus.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands is Primus.
Nice.
And I actually really noticed that you were like, the style of John Dante and the Inferno really reminds me of like Primus, but really clashing with a lot of classic rock and roll bands. Like Black Sabbath was one that I was thinking of. Kiss and
Nice.
Deep Purple definitely
Nice.
were bands that I thought of immediately when I started like watching these live videos and listening to the music, man. So yeah, I definitely feel like you bring a Primus vibe and then mix with some really good classic style.
Yeah.
True rock and roll music.
It comes from, I think, I do like Deep Purple a lot. People mention
Yeah.
that a lot there, which is interesting because we don't have a keyboard player. And Deep Purple was really known for having those loud Marshall stacks with keys in them.
Maybe one day.
We do have keyboards a lot on the album, and we always are trying to mix in like synthesizers as a 3-piece. You know, we'll use different things that we can, you know, mix into the sound that aren't just bass, drums, and guitar. But the influence, I think, comes from that like bluesy influence and sort of the looseness. And we were just talking about Primus because that band is one that's really complicated but also really simple. Like they're the, you know, I think I read that their original band name was like Primate or Primal.
Oh, okay. I've
Before
never
they
even
had
heard
to
that.
change it.
Interesting fact of the day.
It was in, I have Les Claypool and Primus's biography, and I read through it, and it's a copy I got autographed at a concert, so I don't like read through it really hard, but I do like flip through it and read the different stories. And I remember just saying conceptually it was about like the one note and like the simple beat, you know, like the drum circle primal sort of vibe, and that's really where it gets the groove. And I think that's like blues and rock and roll, you know, all comes from really like
From
a
literal
simple-
rocks.
yeah, right.
That's where it comes from, rocks.
From just that concept of like the simplest form of expression, and that's, you know, really what we go for.
I always thought that was like violence, fist fighting, but no, music is much better. I like that a lot. I noticed that you're from another dimension. This is what I
Yes.
read on your Facebook. Another dimension. Can you tell me what this dimension is called? Where is it located adjacent to the one we're in right now? Where have you come from?
Well, technically, we all exist in multiple dimensions, but we mainly perceive the one that we're in right now because we have a physical body that's constantly bombarding our senses with, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I hurt, I need shelter, I need food and water. So right now, like everyone else in the human condition, we're sort of stuck in this third dimensional plane where we experience things that are able to vibrate with our human body. So music is a way for us to connect with things because it vibrates with us physically, but it also has like a metaphysical existence, and it also like transcends time because some melodies that you have and you play and you hear, they, you know, invoke emotions in you, like blues and rock and roll, or even gospel melodies, or melodies that you may recognize from your culture, like, you know, a Celtic melody, or even, you know, in religion people have different songs that they sing, and they're, you know, it may be possible for us to pass on information through these melodies and these sounds that we can't do, you know, through generations. So when you're speaking with music, you're speaking to people that may exist in the future, and you're like speaking with people that existed in the past, people that you never met. So that concept is that, you know, like we're all human and we all exist right now, but with that sphere of music, you're able to exist outside the dimension of time and space that you're in right directly. And that's sort of more the concept, is being a conduit for, you know, the greater ohm or music sound, and having that come into you and then sharing it through other people, and then kind of keeping that collective.
Who do you
going.
want to come into you? Or are you saying you want, or you don't want to get? I don't know if anyone wants to get come into. That's how
I
people
think
get
that,
pregnant, John Dante. So
Yeah, I'm gonna get your ears pregnant is what I'm gonna do with my.
there
rock
you
and
go.
roll.
Yeah, he's here to get your motherfucking ears pregnant,
But it's
baby.
more of like, yeah,
Warm
that,
those ears up.
that idea of being able to communicate with people that aren't directly sitting in front of you, you know, or that aren't maybe. In
So
the
that's how
same
you
time or place.
transcend through different
Exactly.
dimensions is
Is
through the music.
right?
Oh,
And-
there you go.
And if you're able,
Time travel.
you know, you can impregnate people's ears with ideas or with feelings or emotions
So do you think that's how Jesus was made? The Virgin Mary conceived Jesus through music?
through sound.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Oh,
There's a lot of things that are possible.
God
with sound.
serenaded her down from heaven.
But I
Just
mean,
kidding, God's not real.
they say that it's
Lost
possible
viewers.
anything with sound, you know, that it's a physical vibration that sort of, you know, doesn't necessarily resonate only physically. It can resonate, you know, you can feel it. You can feel it even if it was old. You know, people could feel my music maybe 50 years from now. So that's sort of the trans-dimensional concept.
I sure hope it lasts that long. You definitely have to hope. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially when you have something good like that. You don't want it to go to waste.
Right.
You don't want it to get lost.
That's
You gotta
why we
hope that all this
press
art
vinyl
will.
soon.
That's a
So,
good idea.
Yeah, if you guys like our music, if you're able to download it, if we get enough, you know, funds together from downloads and enough fans that really like the music, we do want to put out like a vinyl record that people can keep and collect. Because the CDs nowadays, they go bad after a while. If you burn your own CDs, I don't know if you've noticed, sometimes they won't read, and really old CDs will rust, and there's called CD cancer.
You know what? Honestly, CDs are shitty and annoying, and just like CDs are like, they're like almost like actual garbage that you keep anyway. Though.
Right.
It's like garbage of material possessions that you keep. So
'Cause the
yeah,
songs
no,
are
vinyls are cool. I like vinyl records. It's much better.
Yeah, I think they've shown that like vinyl records sell better and they last longer. So that's sort of the next step for us, is to get something that's, you know, get enough people that are into it that we can maybe get some vinyls out to everybody and have something for people to hang on to.
You heard it here, folks. John Dante and the Inferno vinyls. That is fucking great. So yeah, I do want to talk about the two percussionist idea.
Yeah.
That's something I don't know that I can ever say off the top of my head that I've seen anywhere, even maybe in videos.
Right.
Two percussionists at one time. I've seen this multiple times in your live performances. Two full drum sets, and then there's a guy that sits on the side with a gong and a fucking tapestry behind him or some shit. And I mean, I don't even know. Is he even part of the performance, or does he just kind of
Yeah.
do his own thing on the side, or what's
No,
up with
what
that
we
guy?
have, the people that were most popular for using two drum sets is going to be like the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead. Those guys have
Allman
two
Brothers, I like them. They're good. I didn't
Yeah.
know that they used two
They
drum
would
sets.
use, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure the Allman Brothers would have two drummers, at least with the percussion section. And I know the Grateful Dead was most known for having two people on the drums. And then I think a more modern band that was really influenced to one of my drummers was the Melvins.
Yeah,
The
I
Melvins
like
will
the
have two
Melvins a
drummers.
lot.
And
They're
I think
really
I've
cool.
seen King Crimson perform with two kits. So it's
The
happened.
Melvins have been brought up multiple times on this show, man. People, I mean,
They're
shout out to the
weird.
Melvins.
Yeah, the Melvins, I mean, they're one of those underground bands that really, they made enough noise that you're never going to hear them on the radio, but like you said, they're influenced.
Underground
artists.
pioneers.
Yeah. So the two drums thing came from that. Santana, he had the percussion section.
Oh, I like it, dude. I think it's great, man. You know, because it's definitely not very common. Even though you brought up a lot of common examples, still don't see it that often.
No, it's
and those are all great examples. I like Santana a lot too.
Yeah, I guess the jam scene, like nowadays, Humphreys McGee has a secondary percussion section, and they're one of my favorite groups. So what we end up doing is if we have the gong or another available drummer, you know, a lot of times we'll work in a second person, especially to fill out the live show. And then the drummer that was hitting the gong on all the music videos, my buddy Joe, is the one that recorded on the record. So he did the percussion live, and he learned the songs, and then he played the kit on the record. And he's the only drummer that's on the record. So usually, like I said, we'll record the music and then see how far we can take it.
I didn't even know if actual people were going to show up here or not. I didn't know if you guys were aliens or astronauts or Iron Man or a skeleton. I see that you're normally dressed up in like a spacesuit, which is great. Then you got like a bass player that wears masks. Sometimes he's Iron Man, sometimes he's a skeleton. I don't know if he's both. I don't know how that works, but it's nice.
It depends on the crowd, what the crowd's going to get into, you know, what they're going to trip out on, because some of the festivals are heavier, they're more metal-based, and some of the festivals are more hippies. So you don't want to give the wrong vibe, you know, to the wrong crowd. But it comes a lot from, we used to do a lot of Battle of the Bands, and Mushroom Head's really popular from this area, and a lot of people...
Yeah, I heard a lot of people hate them, though.
A lot of people...
I would like to say on 13 minutes, from 13 minutes to Mushroom Head, fuck Mushroom Head.
I think I heard that we opened for them once. The promoter told me that we were blacklisted from doing Mushroom Head shows, and we weren't allowed.
They didn't like you.
I don't know why. I don't know. Well, we started putting on the masks. They're from Ohio. We're doing shows in Kent. Everyone's wearing masks. We're doing these Battle of the Bands, and we're getting these shitty critique forums that are like, "You're not stage presence could be better." So we're like, "Fuck this."
Better than Mushroom. It wasn't up to Mushroom Head standards.
So we start putting on masks.
Fuck
and getting
you,
silly.
Mushroom Head.
And we got into that sort of scene, and people like it. And you know, Buckethead's one of my favorite artists, and Les Claypool wears masks with his band. And a lot of times, even you see it with. Do you remember Ghost BC, that new group that came out?
I've honestly never heard of Ghost BC.
The dude wears like a big
tell me.
black Pope outfit. They're honestly like.
Is it a gimmick or are they actually good? Do they have to wear that shit to get attention, or is their music good enough?
Their music is...
Because I don't like that type of shit, gimmick shit.
Some people really like their music. It's not as hardcore. I don't know. It's one of those bands that people are into for the
I'll
image.
have to check it out.
And people are into for the music, but it's simple. It's really, you know, it's image-based music. But he ends up putting all of his band members in masks to take away from who's in the band, because he switches them out a lot and put the focus on the music. And I think that was the biggest reason that we started wearing masks, is to take away from the individual and put the focus on the music and the experience, so that people weren't, you know...
And make it look cooler, huh? That shit does look fucking cool. And you see
to be honest,
an astronaut jamming out with a guitar, bro. I mean, I like it though. Do you wear that shit outside of performances? Can we catch you at chilling on your front porch, an astronaut suit or a mask?
Everyone always asks me to, like, why don't you bust out the spacesuit? And it's one of those things that's
you're not about that life. You're just it's for the stage presence.
Stage.
Oh no, I
for
like it.
fun
That's
of
cool. Keep it there, man. You probably wind up being weird if you wore it other places.
Right, weirder than I already am. If I showed up in it right now and was always wearing it, it would be silly. Because there was a period of time where I sometimes will perform without it. You know, if I know the crowd, and you know, but most people come up to me and it is like Iron Man, where I'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, "Oh, are you in a band?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm in John Dante and the Inferno, and then they'll wait. And I'm like, "Are you the astronaut?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And then they're like really excited because you don't see my face in a lot of the music videos, so people don't know who you get. That alter ego sort of Iron Man identity where you can go and perform and be really ridiculous and then still meet people and have conversations and then have that sort of fun moment where they're like, "Oh shit, you're the guy that I just watched, but you're dressed different." And it's sort of fun that way. It makes it like a
kind of like Superman.
Thing. Yeah, it's more fun.
No one can ever tell.
And when you get on stage and you're dressed like an astronaut and everyone's wearing costumes, it lets the audience relax, because they know that you're here for a good time and you're not taking yourself too seriously. They don't have to take you too seriously to have fun. And I think that's a big part about music is, you know, if you take yourself too serious and you're in a small club with a half dozen of your friends and a couple other bands, I mean, no one wants to, you know, everyone's there to have a good time. And I think a lot of bands, with their presence and their image, they get so serious about who they are that they don't remember to have a good time. And the audience, I think, feels that. They end up just having a good time.
You gotta have a good time when you're at a show, because if you gotta have a bad time, security likes to beat the shit out of you. I've never had it happen to me, but I've watched it happen. How do you feel about if someone comes up to you and says, "Who do you like better, Ozzy Osbourne or Ronnie James Dio?" Who do you pick?
Oh man, if I had to pick as like a leader of Black Sabbath, I would totally pick Ozzy. I never was into, I'm always an Ozzy fan.
Yeah, Ozzy Sabbath rules all.
Dio's voice is legendary. It really is. Like Ozzy is a legend in his own right.
All right, yeah, we'll stick to as leader of Black Sabbath then. Let's not go too far.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say as leader of Black Sabbath,
Ozzy rules all, right?
But the Maloik and the voice and the Rainbow and the Dark, man, you can't discredit. You can't discredit the man.
Oh no, you can't discredit. That's for sure. Do you like ice cream or sherbet better?
Ice cream, gelato.
Yeah, some gelato.
Pistachio flavored, the green one.
Ooh, the gross one. There you go. Nice. There you go. If you could open up for any band that's ever been around ever, who would it be?
Any band that's ever been around ever.
Yeah.
One opening slot. That's a tough one. If I wasn't competing for like a stage show and volume and just like what would be the most fun, like could you imagine like the Inferno and Guar?
That'd be great. There you go.
Battling them or something. I don't know.
Guar. No, fuck yeah. John Dante and the Inferno opens up for Guar.
We would sell some tickets for that.
I can see it now. We need to start making some of the shit happen that we talked about on the show. That was great.
Yeah.
Good fucking idea right there. What's your favorite guitar to play? Brand wise. What's your baby? Who's your baby?
The newest one, I love my Goon guitars. I have 2 of those because they set up really well and they all play the same. And then I got a Reverend Billy Corgan signature that I won in a raffle, and I really like playing that guitar. Like I didn't know I didn't buy it, I didn't look for it. I won it from the guys at Reverend, donated it, and that one might be my favorite to play over the years. Even though,
were you a Smashing Pumpkins fan before you got that guitar?
But
I bet you sure are now, huh?
To play on it. I still haven't learned any. I'm the worst. I guess
no, that's cool. I don't like them, so they're not really that good.
I don't have the automatic muff fuzz pedal, but live, I use my Godins all the time. I have 2 of them, and they.
Which one do you lick? Which one of your guitars do you lick and play with your mouth?
Last night I was playing the Godin Progression.
Oh, you played with your mouth last night again?
Yeah.
Do you think that is even any bit sanitary, or is that dirty at all? Or?
No, it's not bad because, I mean, the pick doesn't go in your mouth and the pick comes out of your pocket. There's nothing on the strings because the end of the pick is the only thing touching the strings. And then it's only my teeth also, so it's no worse than like biting into a piece of candy.
Okay, how would you compare playing the guitar with your mouth to eating pussy?
You want to use way less teeth if you're having a sex act.
Okay, so guitar is more teeth and eating pussy is more tongue, is what you're saying?
Most definitely.
For the people out there. Sex education with John Dante.
But, I mean, the experience is all the same. It's fantastic. It's the same experience, but it's a different mechanism. But it's, I think it's implied.
If you could switch positions with anybody else in your band, who would it be? If you could play the drums or play the bass, or
I'd play the bass, I think.
Yeah, play the bass.
I like playing the drums, but it's very physical, and it's I'm not that much of a physical person where I want my performance to be like also cardio. But I was listening to a lot of. I wanted to play bass when I was growing up. I wanted a Seafoam Green Mark Hoppus Fender, and that's what I was setting up for. Yeah, and I wanted to be a bass player.
Shout out to Blink-182.
But I ended up going for a guitar because it was more affordable, and Jimi Hendrix and everyone played guitar that I could learn from. But I think if I was going to switch instruments, I'd totally pick up a bass because you're in control of the rhythm and you're making people dance.
Oh, I like the bass. That's definitely a good instrument to play.
I think it's the most important instrument in a band when it comes to the mix is having a good bass tone. And the drums, when you're in a 3-piece, everything's important. The drums are the heartbeat, but the bass is really what gives it character. Because otherwise, you're just the Black Keys. And I don't dig, or the White Stripes. I never got into bands that only had 2 people in them. Because I'm like, call me when you get a 3rd member. And
duos are cool, but when they're like hipsters, they're not.
Right.
That's what just both of what you just brought up there. I mean, the White Stripes and Black Keys are both hipster bands, and that's why, they're not really that great, But you can find good duos.
Right.
Like, I don't have any off the top of my head. Don't think I was going to say that. But I was actually just trying to read the notes here for the next question. Don't think I have that much knowledge. You guys use all kinds of uncommon instruments. Mm-hmm. I noticed that. I think that's great. It's really cool. What are some of the instruments that you use that other people don't really use when you're recording your music?
On this last album, I used I use a 7-string guitar, which isn't uncommon for a lot of people, but it's uncommon in rock music.
Okay.
Mostly you're gonna hear like gent or really heavy metal, and I actually half the album has 7-string on it, and if you listen to it, you wouldn't.
So uncommon for the genre.
Yeah, that one is new to mix in, and then I use a fretless guitar, and that's really uncommon. I don't think there's very many artists that have it.
Because nobody's good enough to just play the guitar without looking at their fingers, huh?
It's super tough.
Yeah.
I think that you can hear it in China.
Tell them you're better than them. Point at the camera and say, I'm better than you.
I'm better than people that use frets.
There you go, bro.
We use a gong. We have gongs on there, and we have chimes, and we have bells, and we have other instruments that are usually used for like meditation and things like that, which we mix into the music. And it ended up being really popular when I put the album out. And you know, you want to find your demographics, so you advertise the album to thousands of people, see who likes it. Everyone that liked it was from Nepal, and like 2,000 people. Like out of everyone, you know, we sent it out to thousands of people, and it would really, that was like the market, and that was really interesting because you never were gonna guess that, but our style is really, you know, with the gongs and the chimes and things like that, those are instruments that came from that part of the world. And since these people like Western blues and Western rock music, and they hear instruments that are from their culture mixed with the stuff that they like, and then all of a sudden, like, you find a new demographic and a new group of fans. So I have a whole bunch of people, like 1,000 new people in Nepal and India that I want to say hello and thank you for. And we're gonna make some more awesome music for you guys, and hopefully, you know, be more international and not just worry about, like I said, the people that are in the room with you, but the other people you can affect in the world.
Playing rock and roll and gaining a fan base halfway across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, John Dante of John Dante and the Inferno. Thank you to John Dante. Thank you to the ever-spinning and exploding, crazy as we're being told, Inferno. Thank you to all the viewers and all of the artists that we had this season. It's been fucking dope. Season 2 has been a great season here at 13 Minutes. Once again, I'm your host, Paul Goon, and we are done with Season 2 of 13 Minutes. Thank you, John Dante.
No name having looking ragged lame rapper. You nut hugger butt buddy fudge packer. Okay, enough of that. My real friends call me Asher. Laughter. What kind of name is that?